So we're going to start right away. Thank you very much. Everyone, welcome to today's session with Dr. Mike Omotosho. Dr. Mike Omotosho has been a mentor, a role model to me, and many people don't know, but when I started my first venture years ago, Dr. Mike was the first person who supported me, and I'm always very grateful. Years down the line, I've kept in touch, and today he'll be teaching us a whole lot about, business opportunities in the face of COVID-19. So sir, you're welcome very much to the class. So,
thank you.
Business Oracle is a community of people who run their own businesses, and after this class, we're going to share the video on YouTube and everywhere to get those who couldn't join now to be a part of it. But we're very excited to have you. So the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, thank you, Blessing. Excited to also be here. It's always nice to see you move ahead. And I've looked through, I've seen a few other people. I've seen some other names that I recognize. So let me thank you first for the opportunity. Well, before I start, I think it's important to quote the world's youngest heavyweight boxing champion, who says, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. And of course, that's Mike Tyson. As business leaders, I mean, all of us, we've obviously been punched in the face recently by COVID. So what is our game plan? The annual or quarterly plan that we had before is obviously not relevant anymore, like we know. We are left with just two options. We can sit, wait, and let the world go back to normal. But we both know that's never going to happen. I mean, not the new normal is here. The second option is to actually create and act upon a new game plan, take control of our own destiny, come up with a plan that is built to overcome this disruption, and then transform our business into something better and obviously stronger. But before we delve into the opportunities, post-COVID opportunities, I don't even say post-COVID, I say COVID opportunities. Allow me to say a few things about COVID-19. First, why should you even listen to me? Like you know, I've been in public health for over 30 years, particularly the supply chain management of health commodities. Let me put this in proper perspective. If you would rant a social media enthusiast, one, who knows nothing about COVID-19 but is just busy ranting on the social media, rate him 1, and then you will rate WHO from where all credible sources come, 10. Then you can rate me a 7. I say this because WHO actually extrapolates and disseminates information from surveillance centers like the Center for Disease Control, who incidentally get data from implementing partners like us, because we're on the field. So NCDC usually will not go to the field. It's implementing partners that will go to the field. So they get data from us, and then they pass this on to WHO, and then WHO makes a pronouncement. Now you see why it's important to listen. So I just want to make some 5 key points about COVID-19 so that we all get it clear. The coronavirus, as we know it, is not new. In fact, this very novel coronavirus is the 7th in a series. And that is why it is actually called COVID-19 virus. So you see there's a difference between coronavirus, COVID-19, and COVID-19 virus. So COVID-19 virus is the same thing as coronavirus, the new coronavirus discovered in 2019. Now, COVID-19 on its own is actually a disease extracted from COVID, the coronavirus disease, and then the 19 is for the air. So it is an infectious disease caused by this newly discovered coronavirus, the one discovered in 2019. So I want us to get the difference between coronavirus, COVID-19, and COVID-19 virus. So most people infected with COVID-19 virus now will experience mild to moderate respiratory illness, and as much as 87% of them will actually even recover without requiring any special treatments. I'm saying this for emphasis so that we can know that, yes, there's need for caution, but we don't have to be afraid. Because as much as 87% will actually have it and recover and will not even know that they have it at all. Now, of the remaining 13%, 10 will have it and show mild symptoms and then recover. So it's only 3% that will show serious ailments. And then of those 3%, about 70 or 80% may not recover. So what we're actually looking at is about between 1.5 and about 2.5% of the total population that may have it and may not recover. Now, of this, the most affected, we call them vulnerable, are people with underlying ailments. People who probably have some cardiac issues, some respiratory issues, or have cancer, or have diabetes or so. So if you do not have any underlying ailments, chances of surviving COVID-19 is a lot higher. And that you have underlying ailment does not mean you will not survive COVID-19. So it's important people understand this. And that's why there's a lot of deaths, especially in countries like Italy, because of the aged. And naturally, with age comes a lot of underlying ailments. So the best way to prevent and slow down the transmission is to be well informed about COVID-19, the disease itself, and then COVID-19 virus, the disease it causes, and how this disease spreads, so that we can protect ourselves and also protect others if anything happens. The first thing, like we all know, is to wash our hands. And we understand that the best is to actually wash with regular soap. You don't even need an antiseptic or disinfectant soap. Just regular soap for at least 20 seconds. And then just rinse up your hands. The genealogy of the virus is such that soap alone breaks the outer lining of the virus and renders the virus useless. So once you wash for up to 20 seconds and you're able to cover all the crevices, you're partially okay. Now, in a situation where you probably do not have water, you can just use any of these hand sanitizers, alcohol-based hand sanitizers or ethanol-based hand sanitizers. That also will suffice. It's very important. I also need to add that the virus actually gets into the body through 3 orifices, basically. The mouth, the nose, and then the eyes. And that's why they tell us not to touch our face. It's not the face itself that is a problem, it's these openings on the face. And unfortunately, the things they tell us not to do are the things we always want to do. So when they tell you not to touch your face is when you actually want to touch your face. That's when you want to scrub your nose, when you want to touch your eyes, you want to touch your mouth, and all of those. So we should avoid doing that as much as possible. It's also important to understand the way the virus spreads. It actually spreads not by direct contact, really. It is through droplets that are present in saliva or discharge from the nose of any infected person. So for instance, if somebody coughs or sneezes and you're within that person, then your chances of picking up the virus is a lot higher. That you've picked up the virus now does not mean you're going to have COVID-19 until you're able to allow the virus go in through either your nose, your mouth, or your face. Your nose, your mouth, or your eyes itself. So the normal thing, if you must sneeze, is to actually sneeze into your elbow, which is extremely important. So that way you're actually protecting not just yourself, but you're also protecting others. I have taken the pain to explain and educate us on coronavirus and COVID-19, which is a disease that coronavirus causes, so that we're better equipped to deal with what we're fighting. A great sage did mention that if you know yourself and you know your enemy, 90% of the time you will win the battle. It is therefore important to mention that as individuals, we have taken irrational decisions that appear rational to us, but is already causing catastrophic chain reactions, which has put us already in a recession as a nation. And we may most likely slip into a depression if we go another 2 quarters the way we're going. I say this for 4 reasons. First, consumers are spending less because everybody is sitting at home. We're in isolation, there is lockdown. 2, firms are beginning to cut costs and reducing workers. I mean, a lot of people have downsized already. And the consequent result of this is that firms are not able to pay their loans again. They're defaulting on loans, and then they're not even able to pay suppliers. The result of that is that banks are also beginning to have non-performing loans, because if you as a business enterprise cannot service your loans, that means the banks automatically have non-performing loans. And the obvious thing they will do will be to cut lending naturally. And the moment they cut lending, there will be less money in circulation, and then recession sets in. So inadvertently, we are also contributing to the recession that we're already experiencing. But that's not where it stops. We all know that recession hurts. In fact, recession is very painful. However, it's in the midst of opportunities like that. It's in the midst of crisis. It's in the midst of chaos that opportunities actually come up for growth. So for me, I think the future that we already have, that we have not seen, is what COVID-19 is accelerating for us. And in my own opinion, that future really is e-commerce. I say e-commerce because at one point or the other, every one of us will have thought of taking our business global. Some people might have been lucky, maybe even put pen to paper and then scribble something, but maybe not implement. Some people probably didn't even scribble anything down. And for the few lucky ones who have actually begun to implement, they would have been reaping in this period now. You see, because that future that we're already envisaging is already here with us. So I'm going to declassify my talk into 2 areas: those who already have a business, and then what you should begin to look to. If you have a business already and you think your business can still survive, I'll come back to e-commerce, and you think your business can still survive in this COVID era, I think there are 2 key things you need to do. The first is to do a SWOT analysis. We all know what a SWOT is. You need to identify what your strengths are, weaknesses are. Those are internal. And then what are the opportunities that are out there, and then the threats that are also out there. Both of them are external. You do this SWOT analysis and determine what your key performance indicators should be, and then plan how to digitalize your business. If you can take your business online and still survive, then you have a business. If you cannot take your business online, you should begin to think of another line of business. That's the reality. Because there's no vaccine available yet, and there's no hope of getting a vaccine within the next 1 year. Ditto, the possibility of having a positive treatment acceptable to all may not happen within the next 3 months. So if we don't have a cure, there can be a treatment, and there's actually a difference between a treatment and a cure. Then, and we're not sure of getting a vaccine, then we should realize that this is a new normal. There's nothing we're waiting for. That normal that we're waiting for is already here. And the earlier people understand this, the better. So we should begin to look at what we have now as the new model, and then assign project managers for each of the teams that we have if we choose to go online. And I tell people, please do not shy away from hiring at this time, because there will be new skills that you will need for your business. This is a time to bring them on board. At the same time, do not shy away from firing, because there are people who will not be relevant for the new business model that you're coming up with. It's extremely important. So if you have to fire, please fire. If you have to Hire, please hire. It's important. We should also realize that if we want to go into the regular workspace, for instance, I have a regular structure as an office. If we choose to go back to that office and be working from that office, then there are a few things that we must take into cognizance. First is to come up with some key communications about COVID-related issues by providing maybe website updates, press releases, even internal procedure. It's also important to have a plan of action should in case one of my workers or even myself test positive to COVID-19. We don't have to wait till it happens before we begin to plan what we're going to say to the press. What information are we going to put out? It's extremely important. And if we're going to be having shared workspace facilities, then we must ensure that our community spaces are impacted by social media guidelines. If, for instance, you have a boardroom and you still want to be using your boardroom for meetings, then you must space out your sitting arrangements and ensure people observe social distancing even within that very communal space, community space, so to say. I want to re-emphasize that the world as we know it a few months ago is not the same reality that we're facing today, and that's something that we know. But the normal that we're expecting is the normal that we have now. And the normal that we know before has ceased to exist. So it is very important that we begin to speed into the future deliberately. We must make conscious efforts to shift our priorities, to evolve new behavior patterns. For instance, most of the time I work from home. So if you're going to be having to work from home, how do you work from home at a routine? Not that, okay, since you're at home, you can wake up and go to work anytime. So you must still observe your strict routine, carve out workspaces within the house. Okay, this is where office will be. This is where home still is. These are the times when I want to work, and these are the times when I don't want to work. And then we must learn how to accelerate adaptation, because we must adapt to these changes. The future, in my opinion, demands agility. And agility comes with awareness, because you cannot change what you're not aware of. Like never before, the type of work that we do is beginning to change, and it will continue to evolve. We can only see today and assume that is the future we want to create. We truly may not see what will happen tomorrow. The virus itself is evolving, and it may change into something else. There are stories that there's going to be a second wave, because that is the usual pattern with pandemics. We don't know what shape the new, the second wave, if there's going to be any, it will take. We don't know. But for me, we need to be very agile, and to be agile, we need to be aware of our environments and be ready to change. And that's the agility I'm talking about, because it's with agility that we can thrive. And I can assure you, once you're agile, you will thrive. It is also important to take us back memory lane. Collectively, we've noticed that when there are setbacks like this, it's usually a breeding ground for new innovations. And you will notice that about 10, 12 years ago, was when companies like WhatsApp, Instagram, Uber, even Slack came up. And today, they're part of our normal lives. Some 3 months ago, I probably will not want to use Zoom. But here we are using Zoom for every of our meetings. I've attended about 8 meetings today, and 6 of them were Zoom. Just 2 were basically conference call. So the world is changing, and we must recognize that this new normal is a part of our life, and we should embrace it. The recession of 2008 brought about a lot of innovations, and I believe this recession that we're facing now will bring about a lot of innovation for those that dare to be different, for those that believe that those opportunities exist. And I must tell you, the opportunities that exist far outnumber the challenges that we're facing currently. For people that are willing and ready to take the risk and take this opportunity, the opportunities are actually there for the taking. You need to actually slow down and then see ahead of the curve, because a lot of people just see the curve and then they don't see what happens after the curve. And when you want to see ahead of the curve, you've got to begin to think of disruptive innovations, game-changing actions. Look for things that will come up with unparalleled growth in your business. All of this sounds very easy, but then they demand a lot of commitment to learning. You need to commit to continuous innovation and flexibility like never before. And that is why it is important that as thought leaders, as business owners, we begin to go online and attend as many seminars as possible so that we can learn from thought leaders, learn insights from other business leaders on what they've done wrong, or what the things they've done wrong, the things they've done right, and we don't make the same mistakes they're making, and we can actually short-circuit our route to success. It may be impossible to know each twist ahead of the curve, yes, but then once we can forecast what we think the future holds, then we can actually create that future ourselves by honing the skills that we need to maneuver. It's like if you know that there's a road that has a lot of potholes, the moment you're already anticipating that the road has a lot of potholes and bumps, as you're driving, you're going to be cautious. It's not the time for you to be making phone call while you're driving on that particular patch of the road. You're alert, you're waiting for anything to happen so that you can quickly maneuver. It is this maneuvering that creates this ability to maneuver, that creates the expertise and the ease to be able to adapt to whatever it is that we see. Because so many things will come up that we did not anticipate, but we need to actually prepare for it. Now, how do you prepare for something that you do not know? That's where agility comes in again. I want to also list out some sad reality. You don't need to be a political scientist in Nigeria today to understand that about 70 million of us in Nigeria are functional illiterates. And about 13.2 million of our kids are roaming around the streets rather than being in school, even before year 2020. That simply means that about half of our population is already in extreme poverty. And this has been happening even before COVID-19. So it is projected that beyond, even without COVID, we already have a crisis situation on our hands in Nigeria. About 30 million people in Nigeria will also go into poverty within the next 25 years. About 40% of our youth are currently unemployed. That simply tells us that we have an army of citizens that are already completely disoriented, frustrated, they're hungry, and they're looking for ways to express this outrage. And that's why you see a lot of terrorism, kidnapping, even Yahoo and all manners of brigandage. Now, I'm bringing all of this to let us know that we already have a crisis situation waiting to happen. We have a time bomb waiting, and then COVID-19 comes in to add its own, its own additional palaver, if I may use Fela's words, to this. Now, there are about, allow me, I've scribbled about 15 businesses that are already in extinction as we speak. Malls will never be the way they are anymore. We all know that. Restaurants and bars will never be the same thing again. A lot of my friends want us to meet at Joints and Co. Of course, nobody wants to go there again. You will never see music festivals and carnivals the way you used to see them again. We all know that most sporting events will never be the same again. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, they had a digital cycling event where they were actually racing within, they were cycling within the comfort of their homes. Even Formula One had a test run using AI for their racing. Beauty salons will never be the same again. I mean, you can see my beard is not as clean shaven as it used to be because I've been shaving myself at home. A lot of people are afraid of going to beauty salons. So they will open, but they will never be the same. Gym and fitness centers will never be the same again. Our popular Owambe parties will never be the same again. The weddings that we have, the burials that we have, and all of those will never be the same again. We can't sit together, we can't hug each other again. We can't do all of those again for a very long time. Cinemas and museums will never be the same again. People are preoccupied with some other more important things. Traveling will never be the same again. So airlines are already struggling with what they're going to do. How do they adapt? I foresee a situation where the new traveling will now be all business because they will probably have to space out the seats. And then only big boys will now fly airlines. If you want to fly from Lagos to Abuja, instead of paying 20, 25,000, you may have to end up paying 60, 70, 80,000, which is what was paid for business class before. So if you cannot pay that, then you probably will not have to travel. You either go by road or you don't even travel at all. And then if you want that exclusivity, then you probably have to consider private jets. Cruise liners will never be the same again, even though we don't have a lot of that, but most of us will want to go celebrate our birthdays on cruise liners. That is a dead dream as it is now. Factories, as we see them, will never remain the way they are again. Most factories are going to become automated. A lot of the people in there are going to be laid off, so that if there is, peradventure, there is another pandemic, they will continue to operate. And that is the reason why China was far ahead of the entire world. When the entire world locked down, China was still producing because of robotics and artificial intelligence. They've moved ahead of everybody, even ahead of America. So that's why factories are already closing down until, of course, they can automate. The flower industry was a very huge industry. A lot of us do not know it. But then it's like a dead industry as it is now. Hotel industry is also dead. The school industry is changing. People don't want to take their kids to school anymore. You want to do homeschooling. You want to do online schooling. And of course, the 15th one is tours, sites, and even guides when you go on excursions and co. I mean, all of those are dead businesses for now. Having listed all of this, please do not despair. There are still some opportunities, and I'm sure that is what you've been waiting to hear. Somebody sent me a WhatsApp message a few weeks back, and they said, whoever thought mask and nose mask and sanitizer will blow. So don't worry, your time is coming to blow too. What I'm trying to say, in essence, is that opportunities will always come. If you're now, there's an enforcement of wearing face masks, and people are beginning to actually make money by producing nose masks. Looking at tailors, not even just tailors alone, almost everybody is getting into nose mask production. Abab brothers are coming up with producing PPEs that we ordinarily will buy from China. So all of these are changing. Those are opportunities. So if you have an opportunity to be able to do that, please go ahead. Because for a very long time, protective equipment will still be needed, and we cannot continue to rely on China. So the more the opportunities that you can harness locally, the better for everybody. Cleaning services too are an obvious opportunity, both personal cleaning, and when I say cleaning services, I'm talking about people that manufacture disinfectants, that manufacture hand sanitizers, which is for personal or home use, or even corporates. like in banks, if you want to go and disinfect their money for them, or when offices are opening, you want to disinfect the offices. Those are all opportunities to look into. Drone services, for me, this is extremely important because I'm in supply chain business, for instance. So you can use drone for delivery. You can use drones for cleaning. You can use drones for security, for recording too, for instance. You can even use it for data capture. So there's a multiplicity of what you can use drone for. This will actually shock you. You can actually make a lot of money from selling liquor, alcohol. You say, because when bars are closed, those that want to drink will still drink. So how do they get it? Now, I'm not encouraging you to take alcohol or indulge in alcohol, but I'm just saying it's a business opportunity that people can look into. People will want their groceries delivered to them. They don't just want to go to farmer's market or ShopRite to buy tomatoes anymore. So if somebody can deliver that to them, they will be happy. In Abuja, just about 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine actually started the very first drive-in movie center in Abuja here. So instead of the regular cinema, you can come up with drive-in movies. If you don't have a lot of space, you can just use an open space, maybe a primary school ground or so that can take maybe 100 cars or so. And then you access it, put a large screen there, and people are in the comfort of their cars, and then you charge them money and come. Shopping is also something that will be done predominantly online henceforth. Very few people will want to go. So as many of us that have products that you want to put online, please do so. Something else that may begin to sell will be board games. I say this because, like Oris knows, I have 2 board games, the 4 Waiters game and the Honor game. So if you can actually get this into homes, a lot of people are looking for what to do. Families are getting very bored of each other. Before now, we used to complain of not spending enough time, but now we're spending too much time with each other that we're asking, what do we do next? My 9-year-old is always asking me, Daddy, I'm bored. What do we do now? Okay, play Monopoly. What else again do you want to play? Play Snake and Ladder, play Ludo, play this. He wants to be on the gadget at any point in time. So I want to take him away from electronic gadgets and let him play board games where possible. So if you come up with a board game, I'm sure this is a very good time. Since people cannot go to gyms anymore, if you come up with home fitness equipment that you can sell online, and if possible, even promote this online. I see Toby online, for instance, if he has a 6-pack and he can undress and let people see how he's gymming, I'm sure people will want to buy his stuff.
Oh, God.
So in all of this, there are businesses that we may not be able to get into easily, but I mean, there's a chunk of it that we can get into. Telecoms is a clear example. When everybody is crying, the telecom companies are smiling to the bank. So if there's a way you can be a part of this, a part of the phone call, a part of the data services, or a data distribution service, or even a content provider for telcos, you will be making money. You can also consider anything that has to do with internet. When it comes to internet, you can provide content. You can actually make your content subscription-based. You can also be a lead generation agency. You can actually be a social network like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I mean, a social network for a particular niche of people. And then you can come up with a brokerage system that will allow you to be unique in your own way. And of course, you can build your numbers to the extent that people begin to pay you to advertise. And the 7th option is e-commerce, which is actually my favorite. So Zoom has grown in the last 3 months. The owners of Zoom are now billionaires. Their net worth, I was reading it the other time, has grown exponentially. But I believe there are still gaps in the video streaming services. So if you look into all of this and look out for opportunities that we can harness, then we can make that work. There are other things like document handling, online gambling, online adult sites like pornography. I'm not encouraging you to do that, but it's a huge market. And then remote medical services. Doctors are beginning to consult online. Pharmacists are beginning to dispense to online. You may also look out for booking for space travel. SpaceX recently, just this week, no, sorry, on Saturday, launched into space. So, I mean, space travel is here with us now. And the most important of all of this is agric. Mene will be very excited about this because with agric, you can do a lot of things from actual farming to processing to packaging and several others. Let me try and conclude that whatever it is that you choose to do, it is important that you become practically radical. I mean, you must come up with new ideas. You must stand out from the crowd. You must have vadiju instead of deja vu. Deja vu is a situation where you say, hey, I think I felt that before. No, but vadiju is, I want to feel that. Take your mind into the future and try and experience it. Think of just-in-time logistics. There's no point buying several things down. Remember Kanban. So just-in-time logistics, I think that's very important. Think about Commerce Bank that does not have any building at all. Everything is online. You must also excel in just one area, just one area. Think of Zappos. The only thing they sell is shoes, nothing else. Then most times you must think of how to walk back to the answer from the budget. But above all of this, you must have a human face in your business. You must be a community, not just a business that is there for profit, meaning you must look out for the need of your customers and seek out ways to make your customers happy. In all of this, you must be an ambitious leader. I say that because it's a combination of two words. You've got to be humble and also be ambitious at the same time. And above all of this, you must enlist the support of others outside of your company. Gone are those days when we think we can do everything by ourselves and then just make it happen. No, 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 no. Things are changing. Things have changed. I will pause at this moment to allow us ponder on the future that has always been with us, but we didn't notice. And now that we have COVID, we must thank COVID for this rude reawakening. I'm aware a few people have questions, so I want to pause here and allow the questions come in so that I can respond to them. Mene, over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. I've been thinking my page is full now. I'm sure some people were also taking notes, trying to write down the industries that have been disrupted and then the new ones that are coming up. So guys, I would like you to throw your questions out. If you want to ask a question, please type it. That way it's going to be more coordinated, right? And then I would also, okay, we have a question here from Bishop. So Bishop is asking, I run a food business. I make bole and fish here in Abuja, and I'm looking at expanding, getting a space for production so I can employ people who will help me in the production of my meals while I expand sales online. Is this a good idea at this time? P.S. Producing from home limits sales as there's so much I can do. So I intend on going into full social media sponsored ads, but I know I can't meet up the demand alone.
Exactly. So I was going to tell Bishop that I will not answer his question directly. I will only share an experience and let him know to take his own decision by himself. You see, if you do any business, for any business that we do, there are 5 key things that are important. One is the need. If people do not need your product, please don't bother. So if you love doing boli, but people don't want boli, you're wasting your time. So you first need to assess that there's a need for what you're doing. The second one is the ease of entering that business. Can anybody else wake up and begin to do boli? If everybody can wake up and begin to do it, then you don't have a business. Because the moment others begin to do it, then you are out of business because they will undercut you with price, they will undercut you with every other thing that they have. So what can you add to your body that will make your body different from every other person? so that even if they want to do boli, they will find it very difficult to do your boli. I'll give you a clear example. I run a company called Pharmadelphia. We do manufacturing and production. So everybody is doing hand sanitizer. There is a need for hand sanitizer. So we can easily do hand sanitizer too, but we want it to be different. We want to do something that not everybody can do. Almost everybody just comes together and mix something and say, this is sanitizer. In fact, just 3 weeks ago, NAFDAC said about 85% of the hand sanitizers in Abuja are fake, because everybody just mix whatever they want to mix. So what did we do? We changed the formulation of our sanitizer from a gel to spray. Now that is extremely difficult, because it takes pharmaceutical re-engineering to be able to attain a liquid that will still spray and still maintain the disinfectant property. So with that singular act, we have satisfied need, and we have satisfied the difficulty, not the ease now, the difficulty of coming into that business. There are 5 things that I said. So the other one is scalability. How can you scale up your business? Bishop, no matter how many body you produce, I don't see you selling more than 1,000 body in a day. And even at 100 naira, 1,000 body is 100,000. By the time you remove cost and all of those, how long will it take you to become a billionaire? That's where the problem is. So you must look at scale. So if you have already organized yourself and you're doing very well, how do you move your business? Maybe you're going to franchise, or you're going to open 20 other stores. So that if you're making 100,000 from each of those 20 stores, you know every day you're making 2 million. And in no time, you're going to be a billionaire naturally, because that is the strategy. So if your business is not scalable, please just forget it, because you're going to, then you don't have a business, you have a job. Because that actually ties into the last one, which is the T. You're actually using your time in exchange for whatever peanuts you're getting. That's the truth. And the last and most important of all of this is for you to be in the driver's seat. It's called control. If you're not in control of your business, then you don't have a business. So I agree, Bishop may be in control of his business, but he's sacrificing his time, because you should be able to come up with a business that will be making money for you while you're sleeping. So how do you scale up your business so that while you're sleeping, your business is making money for you? And then consider the ease of entry and then the need. So like I said, I will not tell Bishop yes or no, but then from these 5 commandments, I'm hoping he will be able to pick out what to do to his business if he really wants to grow the business exponentially.
Thank you very much for that. I just quickly calculated how many bole Bishop will need to roast to be a billionaire. That's 10 million bole. That's
you
a
see
lot.
what I'm saying?
10 million bole. You roast. I don't think you can do it alone. So,
exactly.
I think a question that came up while you were talking was that, what about for those people who necessarily don't want to have a big business? You just want to have something, you know, they can do that generates income for themselves without the need of scaling. At least they just want to be comfortable with the business. Like, what are your thoughts?
Oh no, naturally, you know, it's running a business is not the only way to make money. You can invest. When you invest in a business without being a part owner of that, without being an executive member of that business, then you're making your money run for you, or work for you, which is actually the ultimate. But before you get to that stage, you can't deceive yourself. You need to have made the money before you can invest it. Except, of course, you inherited money from like a Dangote or so on the $10, where you're going to get the money to invest. So you've got to be an entrepreneur first, make this money, grow your business maybe over 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then sell it for maybe 500 million naira. And then you can say, okay, I've worked my ass, sorry, excuse my French, I've worked my ass out for 5 years, now I want to rest. So I want to invest this 500 million naira in XYZ businesses where I'm sure there can be steady returns and I don't have to work. So when I'm sleeping, my business, my money is actually making money for me. So you truly cannot be without becoming. And that's where the problem is. A lot of people want to be. They want to be billionaires, they want to be millionaires, but they don't want to become. Becoming is a process. So if you already have the billion, oh, by far, you probably don't even need my advice. Oh, that's the reality. But first, if you don't have that, then you've got to make the money first. And that's why we're talking about business ventures that can help you make money.
Someone has sent in a question here, and the person is asking that what are your thoughts? He wants to set up a pharmacy network. He wants to like franchise a brand and brand pharmacy so that he can supply them their inventories and give them the technology. So he's asking for your advice on that.
Well, I'll give him an advice for free. Luckily, I'm a pharmacist of about 29 years standing. So it's important to understand that Pharmadelphia is a pharmaceutical company. Some 12 years ago, we set out to do a chain store company like the CVS of this world, the 7-Elevens of this world. And what we did was to actually set up a chain store of 5 pharmacies in Abuja here, network them and try and make them run for 5 years first. Once they run, then we'll now franchise into 500 stores within the next 5 years. But somehow it didn't work. And I haven't had enough time to go into a research to find out why chain store pharmacies are not working outside of states, outside of cities. In Abuja, for instance, you will have an H-Medics that is doing very well and co, and does it. But then when you want to see a proliferation of H-Medics all around the country, it's appearing very difficult. You may get to Lagos and see Health Plus or see some other pharmacies in Ikeja, in Ilupeju, on the island and co. But when you want to see them in Abuja, you probably see them in 2 or 3 places, and that's about it. So you will need to find out exactly why the chain store pharmacy isn't working here first. I've not done that survey to know why, but as an entrepreneur, I've had my fair share of failed businesses, and this is just one of them. Because one after the other, all of those 5 retail outlets that we opened actually closed down. So yes, it's a new venture. It's a lovely venture, but I'll tell people that your e-commerce must be strong. The inventory must also be very strong. You must also consider where you're getting your products from. And beyond all of that, just go back to this next, the need. Is there a need for that already? I think so. What's the ease of entry? Can you scale it? I think you can. How much control do you have? Where are you going to be getting your inventory from? How many pharmaceutical companies will allow you become a distributor? How many of them will allow you become a wholesaler before you even begin to think of pushing out to these people? And then how much of your time will you invest? I don't think you will need to invest a lot of time, because once you have the technology, then you can go to sleep. I think it's a very good business, but it needs to look through the area and find out what the gaps are and be sure to fill in those gaps, especially for those of us who have actually tried it before and failed. But it's something I still look forward to doing though, so I believe we can still do that.
Okay. Another person is saying, I'm looking at selling digital products and want to know ways I can scale and how I can know the need of the people.
Please take that again. I didn't hear you.
I think the person wants to understand, the person wants to go into selling digital products. But
digital products.
Yes, okay. But wants to know how to identify the need of the people and how to scale the product.
Well, if it's talking of identifying the need of the people, you need to do a survey. I mean, it can be as, okay, let me tell you how we started, how we discovered that we had to do disinfectants. I had sanitizer, it was normal, but I wanted a disinfectant spray to use on surfaces. Mm-hmm. Now, the truth of the matter is that when you dilute bleach, the normal bleach that you have, it's actually a disinfectant. When you dilute it 1 to 9, it's a disinfectant. But you know, it leaves that smell of that bleachy smell around. When you dilute your Izal or Dettol 1 to like 49 times, You also get, depending on the surface, you also get the disinfectant quality, but your home now begins to smell like a hospital. So I wanted something that will have a nice fragrance and still disinfect. So I went around like 10 different stores. I didn't get. That is a need that I've established by myself instantly. So your friends may just be talking about, I've been looking for this, I can't find it. So don't just base it on what you think will sell. If you think so, put it out there and ask a few people. The other option you have, of course, is to commission an agency to do a needs assessment for you. But usually we don't need to go that far. And you can even just do an online survey to let people know what they will be needing in certain areas. You can't just ask them, what would you need? No. You must first carve out a niche for yourself and then begin to say, okay, in this particular niche, this is what I want to focus on.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that. Another person is asking about going into digital magazine publishing. Is this something to look into?
Yes, I think it's something to look into, but the truth of the matter is that's where almost everybody has gone into. So you want to ask yourself, is there a need? I think we're in an age of information overload. So your information must be extremely, extremely interesting and enticing for me to even want to see it. And then with ease of business, almost anybody can wake up and start saying they're doing online magazine production. So how much control do you have? I don't know, because you don't generate the content. You're going to be relying on others to generate news for you. So if there's no news, what content are you going to be producing? How can you scale this? Well, you can scale it 100% because you can go over the internet and reach out to millions of people. That is okay. But it's going to take a lot of your time until you have so much money to employ people who will do the content and the designing and all of those. Otherwise, you're going to have to be doing all of those by yourself. You see, I just tell people, most of these questions they're asking, just go to next. It's actually N for need, E for ease of business, S for scalability, C for control, T for time. So it's not next as in N-E-X-T. That X, change it to S and C. So you have need, you have ease of entry into the business, scalability, control, and then time. How much time are you willing to devote? So once you can once your business model can pass all of those 5 tests, then you're home and dry. If you pass 1 or 2, you may still be able to make it, but then the more of the 5 you're able to put under your umbrella you can control, the better for you.
Thank you very much, sir. I know we have 2 minutes left. So do you have a few more minutes, because the questions are pouring in, and normally we do this last 2 hours. Today is 1 hour. So I want to ask your permission if there's any extra time, or else we might just wrap it up here.
Well, maybe another 5 minutes because I have to go into another meeting.
Okay, another 5 minutes. Okay, thank you very much, sir, for that. Someone is asking about how to make drone services work in Nigeria.
Okay, incidentally, I'm also into supply chain management, basically health commodity logistics. And we've tried to copy the model in Tanzania and Uganda, where they're actually using drones to deliver health commodities to hard-to-reach areas. But incidentally, because of the Terrorism Act and the Boko Haram crisis, you're not allowed to use drones for long distances. So you will notice that you can only use drones. So you see, that's a reminder for my next meeting.
Okay.
No, but it's okay. I'll do the 5 minutes. So you can. So we don't have, you can't use drone to deliver from here, maybe from Jabi to Maitama, for instance. It's not allowed because you can easily use it to go and deliver a bomb there. But with COVID now, I'm sure they're looking into that and it's probably going to change. But for all of those services that you can use drone for, yes, you can use it within a locality. So for instance, you can use it to record what is happening. Like for instance, there are lots and lots of problems with the lady that recorded the killing of Floyd, for instance. People were saying, how come all she did was just record and not do something when life was being snuffed out of somebody? So those are opportunities where you can actually use drones so that you don't have to be there. But by the time they open up the licenses, you may be able to use drone for delivery. But right now, if, for instance, you have the opportunity to disinfect maybe Transcorp Hilton, for instance, and you need to go all that far, you can use drones for your disinfection. It's within the same locality. It's within the same space. You just get a drone, remove the camera aspect, put in your disinfectants, and then send it up there to go and disinfect or even clean windows. So yes, you can use drones and even use it for data capture if you need to, yes. Okay. But for now, there is a law limiting the distances that, the distance that drones can travel.
Okay. And this one was just asking for reference to companies or drone experts in Nigeria that can help in making delivery of data capture. You can get that online, right? You can Google that now.
I'm sure you should be able to get that online. But yeah, almost any drone company can do it. You see, the drone is actually the vehicle. So once you have your data capture tool, then you attach it to the drone. It's as simple as that. So don't let anybody bamboozle you into paying tens and hundreds of thousands of naira. This is the age where we must be creative. This is the age where everybody is working on a very lean budget. This is the age where we must be agile. This is the age where you learn and do things that you can do that are easy for you to actually do by yourself. So if you can buy a drone for 16,000 naira, for instance, maybe from ShopRite or from Game, and you can attach a data, if it's camera, if it's pictures, maybe video you want, for instance, and you can attach a camera to it or a recording device, then you can do your data capture. It depends on what you want to do. But I mean, if you require some expertise and so, then you can actually contract a few people. But I'm sure you can get online.
Yes, sir. So a quick question from someone. He runs, he's into entertainment, but he runs his own fashion business. And then they've been producing school bags for kids prior to COVID-19. And now kids are not going to school. So he's asking, you know, how do you make the academy and the business work, you know, this period?
Well, the truth of the matter is it needs to diversify. That's what I'm saying. It's got to think of what else it can do. Let me go back to, I think I mentioned a few things the other time that we need to be, we need to actually change the way we look at things. We need to be practically radical, change our ways of looking at things. So for instance, it needs to begin to shift its priorities. It's thinking of making school bags. Since it can make school bags, why can't he make protective equipment? Since he can make school bags, why can't he make a nose mask? Since he can make school bags, what else can he make? If school bags are no more in vogue, what else is going to be in vogue in the very near future? So those are the way we need to begin to think. We need to first look into the future. What is the future telling us? And then shift our priorities. Let's not just say I'm an expert at making school bags. No, school bags are dead. So if they're dead, what are the next things that you can make? So look into the future and then shift your priority. Now I don't want to make school bags anymore. I want to make personal protective equipments. And if I'm making personal protective equipments, which ones am I making? How am I making them? What do I need to learn? What kind of fabrics do I need to be able to make them? And then you must understand that this behavior must continue to evolve. That you're making personal protective equipments today does not mean you'll be making them tomorrow. Something else may happen that will make you change again. So be ready to change and adapt again. And then the beauty of it is you must accelerate the rate at which you're adapting. Otherwise, the world will just leave you behind. And that's why I was mentioning agility. You see, because without agility, you're just sitting down docile, you don't know what's happening again. In one of the books that I read, I've forgotten the title, Differentiate or Die. If you don't come up with new strategies always, you just find yourself dead somewhere along the line.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Everybody, please say thank you if you can. From wherever you are in the country, please say thank you to Dr. Mike Omotosho. So thank you so much. We're going to collect the feedbacks and share it with you, and then I'll follow up with you.
Very well. Okay, thank you. Let me close with the words of John Maxwell, a prominent leader a motivational speaker, and an author of several books. He says change is inevitable, but growth is optional. Change is here with us. It's up to you to decide if you want to harness the opportunities in there and grow. COVID-19 is here with us already. Things have changed and it will continue to change. So if you want to grow, you have to, as a matter of urgency, create a 30 days, 60 days, and 90-day priority worksheet that will include just 3 priorities for each of those tasks, and then assign task owners. Put in due dates, and then ensure that everybody walks the talk. But also remember, strategy is useless without implementation. I leave you on those final words.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for DTM, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
We'll follow up with you. Yes, sir. Thank you
Please
so much,
do.
sir. Okay, sir.
Yes, have fun.
Okay. So, hello, people. I think Dr. Mike just left. So, I mean, guys, how was that? How was that?
Awesome.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is really so exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it was very exciting, very Nigerian. And then I think he really touched on a lot of very important topics, you know, and we're so grateful. We're going to send out an email today that will give you the link to the videos, all the videos. And then I want to ask you guys to share your feedbacks on this session and the other sessions. And if you write a comment for each speaker, we would compile your comment with your name and send it to each of them. We'll send it to Dr. Mike Omotosho, Mrs. Josephine, Trish Thomas, Professor Sasha, Chris here. They will see your email, they'll see your comment and your name. All right, so we're going to send that out to you today. So I want to thank you guys very much for being here. Today was very exciting, short, powerful, and we're going to be having this every Thursday, same time, every Thursday. Henceforth, it's going to be weekly. Every Thursday next week, we have a bombastic speaker. If there's a grammar like that coming up next week. The lady, she's done really well as an entrepreneur. We'll be talking about her. You just be expectant, all right? Is there any question that was not addressed that anyone wants to bring up? If the answer is yes, just send it by email. I want to be very respectful of your time. So guys, have a great time, all right? Have a great time. Thank you very much for being here on Business Oracle. And don't forget, we have an opportunity right now to volunteer for Business Oracle. Please, if you are interested, reach out. In the email, we would also include a link to like a WhatsApp group where you can join, or a Telegram group where you can join. And then we'll be sharing more information. But if you're interested in volunteering, please reach out, all right? Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Have a great evening. Thank you.